Hello students, today we are going to learn a last topic of this chapter, and that is addiction and dependence due to abuses of drug, and then we will learn how we can prevent and control the drug abuses. So first of all, let me discuss which type of effect may be developed in the person who have a drug abusive. Now, the first of all, the adverse effect of drug and alcohol abuse are manifested in form of reckless behavior. Person will change their behavior abnormally. Then vandalism. Okay, we cannot judge the person what he will do or what she will do after consumption of abuses. Okay, and that is called vandalism. Okay, and second is a violence. Means person may become violent, aggressive. Excessive doses of drug may lead to coma or sometimes in severe cases it may be develop a death. Due to respiratory failure, it may be effect on a respiratory system, maybe heart failure or maybe a cerebral hemorrhage. Okay, that is also considered as a brain stroke. And due to this severe condition, person may go through a coma or ultimately they may die. A combination of drug or their intake along with the alcohol generally result in overdosing and even sometimes it result into death. The most common warning signs of drug and alcohol abuse among youth include drop in academic performance. Means once if at the adolescent stage a person have addicted towards this type of drugs and alcohol, so they may have a lack of performance in their academic performance. Means from the excellent stage they may undergo to bad performance. Okay, and they may unexplained absence in the school and colleges. They will bunk from the colleges and the school lectures. Then lack of interest in personal hygiene. Okay, they will don't have much interest in the personal hygiene. Withdrawal. Maybe they will be isolated from the persons or from the public. Withdrawal, isolation, depression, fatigue, aggressive. Okay, they may have aggressive type of nature and fight with anybody anytime. Okay, rebellious behavior, deteriorating relationship with the family and friend. They have a means a bad relation with the family and the friends. Then loss of interest in hobbies, change in the sleeping and eating habits. Okay, fluctuation in weight and appetite. These all are warning signs and very bad effect on the person's life. Okay, so this is the warning signs of drug and alcohol abuse among youth, and they will be very harmful for their personal and the social growth. Along with these all effects, we can say that they may even develop some far-reaching implications of drug and alcohol abuse. If an abuser is unable to get money, sometimes what happens, they don't get money, their income is not there, so they cannot get the money from family or anybody to buy drugs and alcohol. So what they do, they will do some stealing also, they will steal also, they may started stealing also. Okay, this is also one effect of the alcohol abuse. The adverse effect are just not restricted to the person. Means the effect is not only on the person who are taking this. Okay, but the person who is using drug or alcohol at the time a drug alcohol addicted become the cause of mental and financial distress, not only the particular person which is taking this type of drug abuse, but it is also affected his or her entire family, not only family but friends life also affected. Okay, those who take drug intravenously, sometimes people are taking intravenous drugs. Okay, direct injection to even vein using a needle or a syringe. Okay, they have more another harmful effect, are much more likely to acquire serious infection like AIDS and hepatitis B. As we have learned already about AIDS can be transmitted by using these type of needles, mean blood to blood contact occur, and as a result of that HIV infection may be developed. Along with that, person may develop hepatitis B infection also. This is related to the intravenous usage of the drug. The virus which are responsible for this disease are transferred from one person to another by sharing of infected needles or a syringe. Okay, both AIDS and hepatitis B infections are chronic infections. Chronic means it will be fatal, or ultimately it will be fatal and leading to the death. Okay, and that's why it is called chronic infection. AIDS can be transmitted to one's live partner, means one's life partner, through sexual contact, as we have learned already about this, while hepatitis B may be transmitted through infected blood. Okay, so by this way, very important disease, very harmful disease, or we can say chronic infection, that is AIDS and hepatitis B, may be developed in such a person who are taking intravenous drugs. Along with this all, the use of alcohol during adolescence may also have long-term effect. Okay, along with the short-term effect, they will have a long-term effect also, and it could be lead to heavy drinking in adulthood. Means the problem will be increased during the adulthood. Okay, and person become more and more addicted towards the alcohol. The chronic use of a drug and alcohol damages a nervous system and also very important organ, liver. Okay, and the bad effect on liver when it is initiated. Okay, and it will lead to a means total failure of liver, and such a condition is called liver cirrhosis. Okay, here you can see when liver get affected from alcohol, maybe from viruses, maybe from other factors. At that time, the internal tissue will be start regeneration, and this regeneration ability will be lost. Okay, and as a result of that, irreversible damage will occur inside the liver, and such a irreversible damage is called cirrhosis, that is called liver cirrhosis. Okay, so also it is pronounced as the liver cirrhosis. The use of drug and alcohol during pregnancy is also known to adversely affect on the fetus. So from the mother, if mother is addicted to the alcohol, then fetus will be negatively affected. Another misuse of drugs is what certain sport persons do to enhance their performance. Okay, during international competition, they misuse narcotic analgesics, maybe anabolic steroids, maybe they take diuretics and certain hormones. Okay, in sports to increase muscle strength and also to bulk. Okay, means bulk of the muscles may be increased due to their ingestion, and to promote aggressiveness. Okay, and as a result, increase athletic performance. So some sport person will do. Then the side effect of the use of anabolic steroids in females include masculinization. That means the features like a male. Okay, she is a female, but their features will convert like a males, like a increased aggressiveness, mood swings, depression, abnormal menstrual cycle, excessive hair growth on the face or a body. Okay, enlargement of clitoris, deepening of voice, is all symptom may be developed in the female who is taking anabolic steroids. Okay, that is a harmful effect. In a male, it include acne, okay, increased aggressiveness, mood swings, depression, reduction of the size of her testicles, decreased sperm production, and that will be adversely affect the fertility also, potential for kidney and liver dysfunction, breast enlargement, premature baldness, okay, enlargement of the prostate gland. These all are harmful effect will be developed in the male. These effect may be permanent or with prolonged use. Okay, and they may become permanent as prolonged use. In adolescence, male or female, okay, at the age of adolescence period, severe facial and body acne may be developed, and premature closure of growth centers. Okay, and the long bones may result in a stunted growth. So this is the outcome if adolescence period, if the at the age of adolescence period, if male and female start such a using this type of. Now let me go through how can we prevent and control such type of abuses, or drug abuses and alcohol abuses. So first of all, here you can see the age old adage is there, prevention is always better than the cure. So if person get addicted and then we prevent, then it is very important that we should prevent that person to be addicted, and holds true here also. It is also true that habits such as smoking, taking drug or alcohol are more likely to be taken up at the young age. Especially during young age, a more sensitive age is adolescence age. Okay, so hence it is best to identify the situation that may push an adolescent towards use of a drug or alcohol, and to take remedial measures well in that time. Okay, so we can prevent that person to be addicted, and we can control the situation. In this regard, the parent and teachers have special responsibility. Okay, we can understand adolescent person do not have the understanding that much. They are not much mature, and that's why they cannot judge their self, whether they are doing well or the whatever they are doing is good for them or not. Okay, so here a role of parents and teachers is very important, and they have a special responsibility. Parenting that combines with high level of nurturance, okay, care and consistent discipline, okay, and has been associated with lower risk of substances like alcohol, drug and tobacco abuse. If parents are careful, okay, then the child will not get some during this adolescence period, they will not get some addicted towards this type of alcohol, drugs and tobacco abuses. Okay, so some of the measures mentioned here would be particularly useful for the prevention and control of alcohol and drug abuse among the adolescents. So let me discuss that, which type of control measures we can follow. So let me discuss about the preventive measures. So first measure is to avoid undue peer pressure. So sometime in the school, in the family, sometimes some people who have already addicted of your same age maybe force you to do some addiction. Okay, so at that time you have to say no. Okay, and that you have to avoid that peer pressure. Okay, every child has his or her own choice and personality, which should be respected and nurtured. Okay, you cannot force anyone to do anything special. A child should not be pushed unduly to perform beyond his or her threshold. Okay, beyond ability we cannot force the person to do this work or this work. Okay, threshold limit, be it studies, sports or other activity, whether it is a studies related pressure, maybe sport related pressure or activity related pressure, we cannot pressurize such a age person. Second preventive measure is education and counseling. Okay, and that's why our syllabus is including this topic. Educating and counseling him or her to face problems and stresses. Okay, because it is just a part of life. Okay, in several condition you will feel problems, maybe you feel stress. Okay, but you have to accept this disappointment. That is not that every time you will get the success. Okay, failures also you may face. Okay, so you just accept the disappointments, and failures is a part of a life, and that is a part of life, and you have to come out of it. It would also be worthwhile to channelize the child's energy. Okay, you should use, because at that time a children is very excited, children are very experimental and curious, so you have to just child's energy you have to apply or channelize this energy in some activities into healthy pursuits. Okay, you have to channelize this activity or energy into healthy pursuits like sports, like reading, music, yoga and other extracurricular activity, and by this way the child can be prevented from the addictions. Now third one is seeking the help from parents and peers. Okay, so you can seek the help from the parents or peers, which are your friends. Help from parents and peers should be sought immediately so that they can guide appropriately. At least you have a 1 to 2 person with whom you can share your all difficulties, your happiness. Okay, at least you have one or 2 persons with you. Okay, you have to build some relation with such a person. Help may even be sought from close and trusted friends. You must be trusted friends. Besides getting a proper advice to sort out their problems. Okay, these would help young to vent their feeling of anxiety and the guilt. Okay, so it is compulsory or it is very good to have a 1 to 2 persons in your life that you can share your all the problems and your all happiness with them. Okay, and you must have a trust building. Fourth preventive measure is to look for a danger sign. Okay, alert parents and teachers need to look for or identify the danger sign discussed above. Whatever we have discussed till this, okay, you have to look for the danger sign. Even friends can also do this. Even friends, if they find someone using drugs or alcohol, immediately you have to inform parents or teachers. Okay, it should not hesitate to bring this to the notice of parents. Okay, one of your friends suppose started some addiction, then you have to just don't have to realize that what happened next. Okay, just you have to inform immediately to parents or teachers to prevent such a addiction to your friend. Parents or a teacher in the best interest of the person concerned, if you are a true friend. Okay, appropriate measures would that be required to diagnose the malady and the underlying causes. Okay, and these would help in initiating proper remedial step or a treatment. So from initial stage we can stop that person to do the addictions. Okay, this is very important. So role of parents, role of teachers and role of friends are very important to prevent this all. Now fifth and last is to seeking professional and medical help. Sometimes what happen, person is become too much addicted, so without a professional or medical help they cannot come out of that. So in such a condition person will require a professional and medical help and counseling. A lot of help is available in form of a highly qualified psychologist, psychiatrist and addictions, okay, and rehabilitation programs to help individuals who have unfortunately got it into the addictions of a drug or alcohol abuse. Okay, with such a help the affected individual with sufficient effort and willpower can get rid of the problem completely. Okay, because their self they cannot do because they are highly addicted now. Okay, they cannot do the reversal of that their own self. Okay, that's why this to avoid this problem they have required professional medical help and lead a perfectly normal and healthy life. So now we complete this chapter and this is your homework. I am giving you two tasks. That first task you have to complete is complete all remaining questions from the textbook exercise. Okay, because this chapter is finished now. Task 2 is to solve all remaining MCQs from the exercise 1 from your MCQ worksheet. And before we finish this lecture, let me summarize by using one animation video and remaining topic let me understand more in summarized manner. So look at this video.
Since 1981, when AIDS was first discovered, it has now become a pandemic, spreading through human populations around the world. In the last 25 years, it is estimated to have killed 25 million people around the world. AIDS stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. As the name suggests, AIDS is a disease of deficiency in the human immune system, which is acquired during the lifetime of an individual and is not a congenital disease. AIDS is caused by the human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV, that belongs to a group of viruses known as retroviruses, which are known to have an envelope enclosing the RNA genome. The HIV infection is usually transmitted through any one of four ways: through sexual contact with an HIV-infected person, transfusion of infected blood, sharing infected needles, and from an infected mother to a child through the placenta. So, other than children born to HIV-infected mothers, people most susceptible to AIDS are drug abusers who use needles too often to take drugs intravenously, individuals who have multiple sexual partners, and patients of diseases such as thalassemia or dialysis who require frequent blood transfusions. It is evident from these examples that AIDS spreads only through body fluids. It is not transmitted by mere touch or physical contact. Therefore, it is advisable that HIV or AIDS-infected people are not isolated from their family and society for their physical and psychological well-being. The incubation period of AIDS, that is, the time lag between infection and appearance of AIDS symptoms, ranges from a couple of months to many years. Once the HIV virus is inside the body, it enters the macrophages, where RNA, the genome of the virus, replicates to form viral DNA, aided by enzyme reverse transcriptase. The viral DNA takes over the host cell's DNA and directs infected cells to produce virus particles. The macrophages produce an army of viruses, therefore acting as an HIV factory. At the same time, HIV enters helper T lymphocytes and produces progeny viruses, which, when released into the blood, attack other helper T lymphocytes in the body of the infected person. The process is repeated till the number of helper T lymphocytes gradually decreases inside the body, resulting in reduced production of antibodies, which affects the immune system. The infected individuals suffer from diarrhea, fever, and weight loss. They become so immune deficient due to the loss of helper T lymphocytes that they are vulnerable to infections caused by bacteria like mycobacterium, viruses, fungi, and even parasites like toxoplasma. Had the HIV virus not infected the body, these infections would have been naturally fought by the body's immune system. The ELISA, or enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay test, is commonly used to diagnose AIDS, whereas antiretroviral drugs are used to treat AIDS. However, drugs can only prolong the life of an AIDS patient. Death is inevitable due to the gradual loss of immunity. Since AIDS has no cure, prevention is the key to keep it at bay. It is important to ensure that blood banks have safe blood and only disposable needles and syringes are used. Efforts must be made to control drug abuse. Sex education must be imparted to the masses so that people indulge only in safe sex. And condoms should be freely distributed and regular checkups made a must among susceptible populations. The WHO has started several initiatives to check the spread of AIDS. In India as well, some NGOs and organizations like NACO, that is, the National AIDS Control Organization, work to create awareness about AIDS so that the disease does not spread due to ignorance. These organizations encourage that HIV infection is not hidden or it may spread further. Moreover, awareness is also important so that society doesn't shun AIDS patients. Together with the medical fraternity and treatment, society plays an important role in the mental well-being of an AIDS patient. Therefore, though AIDS is caused due to acquired deficiency in immunity due to ignorance and unsafe lifestyle practices, AIDS patients need our help and sympathy rather than our disapproval. When Army officer Lieutenant Colonel Shaw was in hospital after being injured on the battlefield, he was administered morphine after his surgeries to alleviate the pain. Morphine is an effective sedative and painkiller, especially when administered to patients just after surgery. Similarly, many other plants, fruits and seeds that have hallucinogenic properties have been used in medicine since ancient times. Some examples are barbiturates, amphetamines, benzodiazepines, and lysergic acid diethylamines or LSD that help patients cope with mental illnesses such as insomnia and depression. However, when these same medicines are taken without prescription and in inordinate amounts, they cause physical, physiological, and psychological damage. This phenomenon of overuse of drugs is often referred to as drug abuse. Drugs that are overused are mainly opioids, cannabinoids, and coca-alkaloids, which are generally obtained from flowering plants. Heroin, better known as smack, is an opioid drug. Opioids are drugs that bind to specific receptors in our central nervous system and gastrointestinal tract. Heroin is a white, odorless and bitter crystalline compound that is obtained from the acetylation of morphine, which in turn is extracted from the poppy plant Papaver somniferum. Chemically, therefore, heroin is a diacetyl morphine. It is generally taken as an injection or is snorted. Since it is a depressant, it slows down body function. Cannabinoids are a group of chemicals that bind to cannabinoid receptors, which are found chiefly in the brain. Cannabinoids are naturally obtained during the blossoming of the plant Cannabis sativa. The resin, leaves, and flower tops of this cannabis plant are used in various proportions to produce drugs like marijuana, hashish, charas, and ganja. All these drugs are known for their effects on the cardiovascular system of the body, and they are usually either inhaled or orally ingested. Cannabinoids are also sometimes abused by sportspersons because of their performance-enhancing properties. Coca-alkaloids are better known as cocaine, coke, or crack. They are obtained from the coca plant Erythroxylum coca, which is a native plant of South America. They interfere with the transport of a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Cocaine attaches to dopamine transporters, preventing the normal reabsorption process. As dopamine builds in the synapse, it continues to stimulate the receptor, resulting in a feeling of euphoria and increased energy in the cocaine user. Excessive dosage of cocaine, which is usually snorted, also causes hallucinations. Other plants with hallucinogenic properties similar to those produced by cocaine are Atropa belladonna and Datura. Like drugs, tobacco too has chemical substances such as nicotine that cause addiction. Nicotine stimulates the adrenal gland to release adrenaline and noradrenaline hormones, which result in increased heart rate and blood pressure. Smoking tobacco also increases carbon monoxide or CO in the blood, thereby reducing the content of heme-bound oxygen and causing an oxygen deficiency in the body. Smoking also causes lung, throat, and urinary bladder cancers, other than causing coronary heart diseases, bronchitis, emphysema, and gastric ulcers. Tobacco is not only smoked, it is also chewed and used as snuff. Chewing tobacco often results due to the harmful effects of tobacco. The government has ordered that cigarette packs must carry visual statutory warnings that smoking cigarettes is injurious to health. Despite the well-publicized harmful effects of drugs and smoking, both the young and old fall prey to the addiction. Therefore, both drug abusers and smoke addicts require counseling and medical assistance to be cured of their addictions. Every child, during the ages of 12 to 18, undergoes both physical and behavioral changes. This period, between 12 and 18 years, is known as adolescence. During this period, both boys and girls register rapid physical growth, accompanied by changes like the growth of body hair and a sexual awakening. The voice starts to break to become deeper in the case of boys. In the wake of all these changes, adolescents are very vulnerable mentally and psychologically during this time. Adolescence is the crucial period that acts as a bridge between childhood and adulthood, when curiosity and the need to experiment and discover themselves is powerful among youngsters. It is this natural curiosity and the need to experiment that takes them to drugs, alcohol, and smoking. Though the first time is usually due to curiosity, later the youngster is tempted to take drugs, drink, or smoke on a regular basis due to their perceived stress buster effects. This might serve as a way to escape the stress to perform academically, an unsupportive family, or peer pressure. Often, some youngsters are seen advocating drugs, drinks, and alcohol as cool, thereby increasing the number of youngsters that are lured to these vices. Television, movies, newspapers, and the internet add to these perceptions by flashing cool images of smoking and drinking in popular public figures such as actors, singers, and sportspersons. Led by all these factors, adolescents frequently begin to use drugs, alcohol, and smoke repeatedly. The temporary feeling of euphoria and calmness that drugs and drinks provide drives youngsters to seek these out even when not needed. And even though this consumption proves self-destructive, this psychological attachment to the effects of drugs and alcohol that leave a temporary feeling of well-being is called addiction. The inherent addictive nature of both alcohol and drugs ensures that with repeated use, the tolerance level of receptors present in the body increases. As a result, these receptors respond only to higher doses of drugs and alcohol, leading to increased intake and addiction. Thus, The drug abuser or alcoholic is drawn into a helpless, vicious circle where they consume drugs or alcohol regularly and can't stop. Without any counseling or support, they become dependent on drugs and alcohol. Dependence is defined by the tendency of the body to display unpleasant withdrawal symptoms if their regular dose of drugs or alcohol is discontinued. Deprived of drugs and alcohol, the addicted youngster displays symptoms such as anxiety, shakiness, nausea, palpitations, and sweating. All these symptoms stop when drug-alcohol use is resumed. At times, these withdrawal symptoms can be severe and life-threatening. This dependence on drugs and alcohol leads the addicted patient to ignore social norms or laws to get sufficient funds to sate their needs. Therefore, adequate moral support and counseling at home and in school is required during adolescence to avoid substance abuse among youngsters. Also, the addicted youngsters can be helped and rehabilitated with professional medical care along with counseling. Both Kurt Cobain and Elvis Presley have something in common other than being popular rock singers of their time. Unfortunately, they both suffered from drug abuse, which eventually contributed to their deaths. Excessive use of drugs damages human health and is known to cause coma or death due to respiratory, heart, or cerebral damage. The immediate effects of drug abuse can also result in reckless behavior, vandalism, and sometimes violence. Worse still, when drugs are consumed with alcohol, it often leads to an overdose, which at times results in death. Long-lasting use of drugs and alcohol damages the nervous system and causes cirrhosis in the liver. It also adversely affects the fetus during pregnancy. The identifying symptoms of drug and alcohol abuse are withdrawal, an unnaturally glazed look, disregard for personal hygiene, depression, fatigue, isolation, and rebellious behavior. Sometimes, these behavioral changes are reflected in unhappy relationships with family and friends, as well as changes in sleeping and eating habits. A teenage abuser may register a drop in academic performance or altogether stop going to school or college, lose interest in hobbies, and experience a loss of appetite and weight. Sometimes, in desperation, abusers take to stealing to be able to find money to buy drugs. Such behavior, understandably, is a source of distress to family, friends, and teachers. Drug abusers who take drugs intravenously are also susceptible to fatal diseases such as AIDS and hepatitis B. Both these diseases can be transmitted to a healthy individual due to the sharing of infected needles and syringes. Sportspersons have also been known to misuse drugs to enhance their athletic performance. They take narcotic analgesics, anabolic steroids, diuretics, and certain hormones to increase muscle strength and bulk. Of these, anabolic steroids cause side effects such as aggressiveness, mood swings, and depression. In women, anabolic steroids mimic the effects of male hormones such as testosterone and dihydrotestosterone, causing side effects like excessive growth of facial and body hair, enlargement of the clitoris, deepening of the voice, masculinization, that is, male-like features, and abnormal menstrual cycles. Likewise, in men, they result in reduction in the size of the testicles, decreased sperm production, enlargement of the prostate gland, and acne. In case of chronic use, these effects could be permanent. In adolescents, apart from severe facial and body acne, it can also result in stunted growth due to the permanent closure of growth centers of the long bones. Keeping in mind the severity of the damaging effects of drug abuse, it is better to focus on prevention of drug abuse, especially among adolescents, as they are most vulnerable during this period. Together with the help of vigilant parents, teachers, and even friends, drug and alcohol abuse among adolescents can be checked. Often, peer pressure, high expectations from academic performance, and utter disregard for talents and hobbies lead disgruntled adolescents on a wayward path of drugs, alcohol, or smoking. Therefore, it is important not to compare adolescents with their peers and not to push them too much to perform academically or in sports. It is in fact advantageous to identify their talents and direct their energies to healthy and interesting pursuits like sports, dance, music, yoga, aerobics, reading, and other similar activities. The moral support of both family and friends is important to adolescents in times of crisis and disappointment. It is the time when teenagers should be trained and counseled to handle the problems and stress that life brings. Talking to sympathetic and understanding parents and family members like siblings and friends are very helpful during such times. This not only gives adolescents an opportunity to share their fears, anxieties, and guilt, but also open their minds to possible solutions. In addition, such discussions help parents and family to be aware of the changing needs of the individual. Both parents and teachers should be alert enough to note any change in behavior and habits of the adolescents. In fact, even friends, if they are able to notice the danger signals of drug abuse, should inform teachers or parents about them to help their friends. Lastly, professional psychologists, psychiatrists, and de-addiction and rehabilitation programs can also be sought to help drug abusers. The objective behind such counseling and medical assistance is to diagnose the underlying cause of the abuse and take remedial steps. Therefore, though drug and alcohol abuse can be a fatal malady, it can be prevented by being sensitive to the changing needs of adolescents and by seeking professional counseling and medical expertise when required to deal with the addiction.
In next lecture, we will start a new chapter. Okay, and that is unit number 8, chapter number 9, and that is strategies for enhancement in food production. So till that, goodbye.